You need to change the camera as well.
Yeah. Let's do this now.
Slowly getting ready.
Okay, so we need to just do this.
Awesome.
Cool. So hello to those of you who have joined so far. We are broadcasting simultaneously on Google Hangouts and Periscope today. So you're joining this DIF Disruptive Innovation Festival 2015 informal chat about open mics, about how to take part in the Disruptive Innovation Festival, which we'll tell you about in a couple of moments. But firstly, just to introduce ourselves, my name's Joe. I am part of the DIF team here. Was involved in DIF 2014, which was a fantastic event for those of you who joined. And we're really looking forward to DIF 2015 this year and to have lots of your excellent contributions to the open mic stage. And I'm joined by Manuel.
Hi there. I'm helping to coordinate the DIF and also working through applications. So I'm complementing everything that Joe knows from last year and maybe a little bit of fresh wind in there.
I think quite a few of you, so we already had some people chipping in on Periscope saying that they are so excited about the DIF, which is great to hear. But if you haven't heard of the Disruptive Innovation Festival, it's a free open access online festival that takes place from the 2nd of November to the 20th. And it has a really broad remit of what we cover. So throughout the 3 weeks of the festival, we'll see something in the region of 250 sessions, all related to this topic of the changing economy. So if we understand that the economy is changing, we ask the question, what do I need to know, experience, and do? It's modeled on a real life festival. So we have our headline acts. Some of those have been added to the DIF website now at thinkdiff.co. And we have a number of other stages, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation stages, festival labs, and of course the open mics. The DIF is 40 days away today. We've already got over 100 sessions in the schedule, but we've announced how many? We've announced 8 or maybe a few more open
mics right now.
So we've announced some open mics already, but we've got a few in the pipeline. But we know that a lot of you are thinking about running open mics. So who have we got? We've got looking forward to open mic reimagining waste streams. So some people have noticed we've got the open mics in the schedule already, but we want to receive more. So we're going to spend about half an hour now, depending on how many questions we get in from you guys. But we're just going to have a chat about what open mics are, why they're a crucial part of the DIF schedule, and how you can take part in open mic sessions. So Manuel has been coordinating a lot of the open mics, as you mentioned. So you're probably the best person to answer these questions, I think. So what exactly are open mics?
So basically taking the idea of an online festival, we have those headliners that we said, so that's those big main stages you find on a real festival as well. And then you've got those open mics, the stages everyone can participate in. So you might be inspired in the festival just to do it, obviously, like on the spot, but here we need a little bit of more work in before. So it's basically open to everyone to contribute with their ideas to the changing economy from all kinds of backgrounds. So sometimes there's misunderstanding, it has to be circular economy. It's just like an open stage for people to share their ideas.
Yeah, so I guess on the basis that there's a lot of stories out there around the circular economy and about many other topics that from voices that are quite well known. I think so. Last year we had William McDonough, and this year we have Michael Braungart, and a lot of these thought leaders. It's crucial that they continue to reinforce the messages around the way that the economy is changing. But we also want to discover some of those unheard stories.
Yeah. And I think it's also like have different phrasings, because sometimes, some wording works better for some people, or just like some imagery. And I feel that's really good about the open mics, that people can maybe take some of their ideas, develop them further, and also show their view on those things. So just, as I said, like a fresh look new inspiration. So open mics are to inspire other people, obviously, to do stuff as well. And I think that's the cool thing about the stage.
So for people out there who are thinking about open mics, or let's say they have a story to tell, they've got an idea, a product or an innovation that they've been working on and they'd like to share with the world, what's in it for them in hosting an open mic?
I think what's definitely there is to share this idea, and by sharing that, it's the same story as like, oh, if you have a great idea for a business, don't wait and keep it for yourself. Just start chatting to a few people and check on those ideas and if they're cool. And I think that's even better on this global stage. So you will be there with other people with great ideas. You have a platform where it will be communicated through. So you can obviously do it yourself on YouTube, but just like within this festival, there's a lot of hype around it and just like a lot of buzz.
So like a feedback.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get like initial feedback, and you can develop your own skills in presenting and also using some of the techniques we use, like the webinars. And I think that's a really good personal development as well. And there will also be feedback from us, obviously, to the work of the open mic stages as well.
Okay. So we've just had a few people join, and if you've just joined, whether you're on Hangouts, you can ask questions in the Q&A app, which is in the Hangout screen. And if you are on Periscope, if you're watching on the browser, so on periscope.tv/thinkdiff, you won't be able to ask questions. So if you can open it in the mobile app, then you can ask questions to us. And we just had one in from someone saying, will there be a schedule of all of the open mics? And yes, there absolutely will. If you go onto the thinkdiff.co now and take a look at the schedule, you'll see all the events. We're soon to be adding a filter, so you can just filter by open mics. So if it's open mics that you really want to see, then we'll be adding that filter, so you can just filter out those sessions, or you could just see the headliners or others.
Well, for now, if you look through the schedule, it's the blue fonts, like the blue text will be open mics, and that's also kind of like the signature of us, like the color of the stage is blue, so you can look out for that as well.
Look out for the blue sessions,
and you can already see them now.
So Manuel, what is required, or what's involved if someone wants to host an open mic?
Well, we're not going to do American Gladiators to get people on board, but obviously what we need for online sessions is that people have good internet. That's usually a thing. Sometimes maybe having a headset, some technical requirements. Apart from that, I think more like of the content, what we're looking for is ideas for positive change. So looking at problems, but also solutions. And we're looking also to get startups and great ideas, but it's obviously not a sales platform. So we don't want to have a sales pitch, but we want to hear the ideas. We want to hear people share why they came up with this and how it worked out, for example, or why this could change something, but not, buy this or this service.
Yeah.
And I think we have the capacity to differentiate between those, but just a heads up, we don't just want to have like a sales pitch. But apart from that, everyone has any idea that contributes to positive change in our society and economy around these questions is welcome to do so. So there can be a professor, there can be a student, you can be from high school,
from a business.
Exactly, business, designers. It can be from everything. It's the open stage.
And so you touched briefly on the kind of what's involved, from a technical point of view. So, and you mentioned like so for some live events, having a decent internet connection is obviously really important.
Yeah.
But then not everything is live. There's a range of things that people can do.
So basically, we've got different formats, and part of the live formats would be a webinar. So you'd be similar to like this right now. You'd be sitting in front of a screen and also interacting with the audience through Q&As and other things. You can also stream live events. So if you would have a panel discussion, that also would need a little bit more of technical requirements in there. But you can also just have a physical event, and you can advertise it through the DIF website as an open mic. You could also just have a follow-up. You can do a podcast. You can also plan a forum takeover. So just like have a time where you just discuss a topic.
Yeah.
So formats in between live, online, and offline that are possible, just depending on your own kind of like also like time you have and the resources you have.
Yeah. So there are more and less demanding.
Yeah,
formats.
Exactly.
We just had another question in. Is there a time limit for the sessions?
So we usually suggest maximum 1 hour. I think the best engagement time is you spend, if you do a traditional kind of like format of 35 minutes of a presentation or a discussion and then allow Q&A. So I think 45 minutes is a good time, but you can also do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on the format you choose. Exactly, so if you chose to do like a a podcast, it might be you might choose to do that for half an hour or something. Whereas if you were doing we have these forum takeovers, so where you would maybe do a text Q&A in the cafe forum area of the DIF, and you might want to run that for an hour to get some really strong discussion going,
or an afternoon, just to also take different time zones in the world into
account. For sure.
To make it really global.
We this is our first Periscope, so seeing those little hearts come up is quite rewarding, nice. Really. So, and you were saying about the kind of who typically would run an open mic.
Yep.
So it can be anyone from kind of business, and it's more about the topic and the relevancy to this overarching theme of the changing economy.
Yeah. So part of that is also the circular economy always comes up with the Disruptive Innovation Festival, but there's lots of other topics involved. So this is innovation, that's entrepreneurs and new business models. It's about thinking differently, systems thinking as well, but also farming and food. These are really big topics, especially this year with the International Year of Soil. And they go.
Is that this?
It's this year, yeah. It's like the UN.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
That's why farming right now is in focus everywhere. And I think especially for the biocycle and these questions we're asking here, how can we change that? A lot of people are excited about food. Like we eat all the time, and like ask those questions from that perspective. And there's a lot of questions still to be answered. And Internet of Things, materials itself, the resource flows is really, really wide range.
So there is because the DIF takes into account all this different range of topics.
Yeah,
it kind of means there's really no limitation to who can take part as well.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we go through all the application and see if it fits in. But usually, we try to be disruptive and radical. And disruption is about, a new market and start something new, a new idea that hasn't been there, and then see if there's people who resonate with it. And that's what we trying to do with that.
So you mentioned the application process.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through how that works?
So basically, what I advise always people to do is go on the website, thinkdiff.co, and there's a contributions page where you can read through and see a general overview, and then you can register there, and then you can submit an application. So there will be a title of your session, a quick summary of what you want to talk about. Also will then be published online, and maybe a short bio, but really nothing long. So if you know what you already want to talk about, that can be really quickly. We had some people that also emailed us beforehand because they didn't know the direct link to the website, and it's just like put them there. Once you submit an application, we will go through it and then try to get in touch with you. So a Skype call or a phone call, and just like to clarify some things, what's the best format for you to really make sure your idea has the best format in delivery and also for the content. And then you can choose a time and date where you want to hold that, and we'll try to fit you in the slot we've prepared. And then we do some training with you as well, and it's gonna be really soon. That's November, and we're gonna actually.
What do you mean by the training? Is that just kind of a few tips to run your selected session effectively?
Yeah, it's a good question, because obviously it depends on the format. But if you choose to do a webinar, we will do a training with you on the webinar. So there will be for Google Hangouts or like the WebEx we're using. But we also provide some tips and advice if you organize a physical event or if you do a presentation. We obviously might be constrained in our time when it gets really busy, but we always try to, make sure we give good advice to make the sessions as best as they can be, like the full potential.
So there's a tech guide as well, which
you made that one.
I made that, so maybe I should mention about that.
Should advertise it now.
So the tech guide for the DIF is it's I think it's about a 15-page document. It's really goes through each of the different formats that we support for open mics. So we're talking about as Manuel mentioned, webinars through WebEx or Google Hangouts, podcasts, physical events. So the range of different events that you can do are all discussed in the tech guide, which you can download from the contributors page.
Yeah, there's also a resources page.
And it tells you which events are supported, but also what they might be used for. So you probably wouldn't do like a podcast for maybe a physical event. It might not be the best fit. There might be a better option. That is a helpful document if you want to if you maybe have a topic in your mind already, but you're thinking about how best to communicate it at the DIF, then maybe check out the tech guidelines on the DIF website.
Yeah.
So Well, yeah. What are your tips for formats? What are your favorites?
Well, we kind of like talked about it a bit here and there, and there's always the long list. And in the beginning, we found out for some people it's confusing when they send through the application because there's so many of them. There's the WebEx, the WebEx and the Google Hangouts as webinars. Then you've got like live streaming or YouTube streaming. Then you've just a physical event. And yeah, for example, if you have a panel discussion that has like a local relevance, why not invite people locally, like in the community center, or if you're a business, why not use a meeting room and then do it locally? And if you can stream it, but maybe it's just like a follow-up, like a 10-minute video of summarizing what has happened. This could also be then a webinar. But also if you, for example, have a panel discussion with lots of people that are the same place, it might be difficult to use a webinar format. If you just have a really neat story to tell, it's just about sharing the idea, and you don't really look forward to direct interaction. Yeah, why not do a podcast? Why not do? We also last year had animations. People just put forward animations that were uniquely released during the DIF time. So it's like a platform. So you just have like a really nice narrative and story to tell, and it's kind of close in itself. You can use that format. And if you really want to engage with a lot of people and really have an open stage, then obviously like the cafe is really good.
Yeah.
You know, people have inputs and information to go there, and they're keen in sharing that just in writing, so to say, and posting things. Then it works quite well. So that's maybe for the development of an idea.
Yeah.
You want to put out there.
Yeah.
Maybe not like Reddit. Maybe we're not that good as Reddit. Like,
we'll get there. We're going to be as good as Reddit. Yeah, if you've just joined, there's a few people watching on Periscope and on Hangouts. We're just discussing the open mic stage at the Disruptive Innovation Festival 2015. And if you don't know what the Disruptive Innovation Festival is, then shame on you, and head to thinkdiff.co to find out about it. It's a free online festival about the future of the economy taking place in November. We actually lost a viewer when I said that, so maybe I should just shut up. So another big question that we've had a few times this year, the real keynotes have said, can I run more than one open mic?
Yeah, true. We ran into that, and it's true. If you go through our programs on the website, it will only allow you to do one, but you can just get in touch with us, and we can manage to get you another session in. So what I'd advise you to do is put in your first application for your session, and at the same time email us and say like, hey, I would like to do the session.
What's the email address?
The email address, you'll find it on the website.
Think
you can
Diff.
also think Diff. Always get in touch with us. We do it at the end of the session. We're like, about our direct contacts. But yeah, basically, if you want to do a session in more than one language, and it might be difficult to do different languages at the same time, we also have language days. So we're looking forward to contributions in Portuguese, Spanish, and French as well. If you have really two ideas, or you think that your idea is too grand to communicate it in just one open mic, get in touch with us, and we can then think about how the best works and like splitting it up, and then you're having 2 sessions or 3. We already have examples like that. Because yeah, sometimes it's nicer for people to step the game up, or if you want to take people on a journey and we think that's really good, let's split this up. It's definitely possible to do more than one, just to summarize my talking here.
If you've got any questions about the open mics, that is the purpose of this session. So just if you're on Periscope, then do this, tweet them or something. No, just type them in the chat on Periscope and we'll pick them up. Here's more people joining now. And if you're on Hangouts, then there is a Q&A bar on the right-hand side. So use that to ask a question. What were your favorite examples? You weren't here last year.
I wasn't,
but you've watched the open mics.
I've watched it as well, and I remember it so because I was in uni and I tried to do the in between lectures, like in the afternoon, because obviously it's throughout the day there's stuff going on, so sometimes it's really difficult to follow if you don't have a smartphone at hand, which I didn't have at that point. And then you've got a uni computer, you're not allowed to use all software. There's no Flash Player already for doing things like that. So I ran trouble there. So be prepared, and I think have a bit of patience.
So you can catch up on stuff after.
Exactly. So that's the cool thing as well. For 30 days, the sessions will be up. So we already said, if you don't have time during the day, get together with your mates end of the week, and then maybe have a sit down with a couch event. That's what we might want to call it, and just watch some sessions, be inspired, maybe come with the crazy business idea or the crazy idea to solve some problems in the world. And yeah, as I said, I did that, and also actually participated in a big top 10 in my uni. I think that's why I actually ended up here, because I got really inspired by that. And one of my favorites was Donut Economics by
Kate Rayworth.
Kate Rayworth, that's her name. Just because I haven't heard of the idea before, and then it sounded intriguing. Way explaining economics with the shape of a donut, and if you haven't seen, you can still watch it online, I think.
Yeah, you can head to the thinkdif.co website and go on the menu in the top right, and then click on DIF 2014, and you'll see a selection of sessions from last year that you can catch up on, some of the best sessions.
And so yeah, it was a really cool session where she explained this principle of the donut economics. There was another cool one. It was with Airlander. So they have basically this, what is it like?
It's like a blimp.
Yeah.
Like a giant airship.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a giant airship, and they've got like different engines. So it's like these combined like helicopter and like airship, all these. And they had a chat with one of the guys, and he then just like took his laptop out and walked through
the hangar where
the massive thing was. So yeah, it can be really surprising. And I actually personally have another one which a lot of people say wasn't so good. It was by the UWC, and they literally just like gave around a laptop. But
one, I mean, you say that, but it took some getting into. It was a long session. I think that for the people that stuck with it, sorry, just got a question. For the people that stuck with it, it was good. Is all of the content available for 30 days, or just the ones that were live streamed? So yeah, clarification on that. One thing we always said about the DIF is that we really want it to be a festival. We want you to have to, we want to get people coming to the DIF for the 3 weeks that it's on, to actually benefit and take part in as many events as they can. But at the same time, we know that people have very busy lives, like Manuel last year, and can't attend everything live. So from the final day of the DIF, you will be able to, all of the sessions, barring some exceptions, if in the case that the rare case of a technical issue, or sometimes people's internet connections drop out and we can't repost the recording, or if it was a physical event, obviously we won't be able to have a time travel back to that physical event. But where possible, the sessions will be available to watch for 30 days from the last day of the DIF. So we try and put as much of the sessions, as many of the sessions back on as we can, barring any exceptions, any technical issues.
Yeah, and I think there's also some lessons from last year. So the idea with this is simply we want to gain momentum, get people talking about it as well, exchange ideas in between each other as well. So really, yeah, connect people as well. I think it's like a big part of it as well. And what we're looking this year as well to get feedback, obviously, afterwards, but also get some input from all the viewers and contributors beforehand. So some questions or some suggestions. And we're going to have a webinar also coming up next month, where we're going to look into kind of getting people a little bit interested in how the DIF will look like. And I think it's what we try to do much more this year as well, the interactiveness of sessions, to make sure that people can get more out of it. And
so we had a few sessions last year that really made use of the interactivity of the formats on offer. So for example, a webinar that was with a kind of constant sort of feedback and live collaboration element to it using Google Docs. So we know that there are some pretty simple but really effective ways of increasing collaboration with people live at DIF sessions. So that is something to think about when you're thinking about running an open mic. Just think about, in some cases you might just want to do it as a straight broadcast, but sometimes you might want to create more of a workshop vibe, or have some sort of collaboration element. So it's worth thinking creatively about the different tools on offer to be able to do that.
So right now we just do it really simply. We only have Q&As to get it in, because we want to keep it nice and short. But we could use some other tools as well next time, maybe.
I think
to showcase that.
Yeah.
Like have all this talking behind the scenes. We should like bring it forward a bit as well.
HP was another good one last year. Sure. That's also available to watch on the DIF website. So Hewlett Packard did a session about their 3D printing technology, and brought in a lot of the questions around the role that 3D printing will play in a future with perhaps more decentralized manufacturing, and what this means for design and material flows. Yeah, that was I guess that was also a good example of how even a big business of the size of HP can still use an event like the DIF to reach a completely new audience.
Yeah, that's true.
All around the world, and get feedback on something that they're doing.
Yeah.
So really, if you're one guy working or girl working in a garage on a project you've been working on for a number of years, and you want to test it out with a global audience, then the DIF is for you. Similarly, if you're in a massive multinational corporation, then there's still a massive benefit in running an open mic.
Yeah, I've already like some of the applications I'm really fascinated by, like taking new thinking into, from human research management.
Can you say about any of the open mics that you're excited about so far? They might be up on the website, or they might be in the pipeline.
Yeah, somewhere in the pipeline. One is, as I said, like one is about taking the idea of a circular economy, not only from the research perspective, but also putting that on a human resources level. So the idea of like, currently, do we really have linear career paths? And that's like part of this. We might have one job for our whole life, but that's obviously is changing. So taking ideas, the sessions about those ideas of the circular economy and systems thinking into how we can kind of like reform and renew the idea how we think about careers and using skills of individuals differently, also in much more of a circular manner.
Interesting.
And that was really, I was like, wow, that's really new to me. And things like that coming through, and also like some strong systems thinking stuff. Then about education, part of the DIF obviously as well, you know, how might education change? Maybe much more stuff will be online. MOOCs are used already. And yeah, we've got some new stuff coming in from startups.
Guys, if you we're probably going to wrap up in a few minutes, but if you have more questions about open mics, or let's just call it a free-for-all, if you've got any questions about the Disruptive Innovation Festival, then fire away if you're on Periscope.
If you also want to know how to grow an awesome beard like that, we also received that question.
You didn't receive that, I don't believe you.
No, not yet, but I'm pretty sure after
someone's going to be curious
after the session.
Well, maybe if there's enough demand for it, then we will.
You can have an open mic. I can get you an open mic.
You can be. You'll fast track my application.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it has to be good. You gotta like have the right props probably as well, on the right kind of angle of it. But I think somehow the beard growing could be a hit into disruption.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions, beard related or not, then fire them away. Their hearts are going crazy. Someone's really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was like, we just have to talk about beards all the time.
So if people want to stay up to date with the DIF or to get in contact, let's list the best ways to do that.
Cool. I go first with like, you can obviously go on Facebook. There's a Think DIF Facebook page, and you can obviously just like that, or also find a link to the website there. We also have.
Okay, I'm going to go for Twitter.
Okay.
So we're at ThinkDiff_ on Twitter, and tweet us and say hello, ask us questions about open mics, or or tell us what you're looking forward to seeing. Yeah,
we're really keen on. You can go online. You see, we said earlier, the different topics from biomimicry over economic systems, education, emerging markets. You know, you can look them up. You can look through the schedule, and if you have any suggestions, you might just actually say like, I'm going to be that suggestion. I'm going to have an open mic. Exactly. Or you're going to be like, hey, I like this one session, but I might have some questions.
Yeah, if you think these guys, there's no sessions on this. They haven't got a session on this. They're really missing it out. That is, if you feel yourself thinking that, then you should do an open mic on that topic.
Well, the thing is, that's what I think is cool in that sense. Not a whole DIF, because we obviously have headliners, but the open mic stage, that's the crowd-funded thing. You know, it's about contributions from the crowd in that sense, and we just kind of like putting people in the right direction to be at the right stage at the right time, make sure they have the beers ready. Okay, no, but that's like more on a festival analogy. That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to facilitate things, and the ideas and efforts will then come from you. It's like your stage.
Think DIF at ellenmacarthurfoundation.org is also the email address. You can email us any questions, and Manuel will answer them.
Or some of the other colleagues here.
Yeah, some of the other DIF team. And Periscope. So I hope you've enjoyed our first Periscope. It's we're hoping to do a bit more of this during the DIF. depending on how this went, and I think it was okay. So if you're interested in seeing more of this, then you can follow us on the Periscope app, and then you can stay up to date whenever we start streaming. Oh, also we're on Instagram now. So Periscope and Instagram. If you want kind of backstage watching lots of tired but very happy people for 3 weeks running the Disruptive Innovation Festival, then follow us at ThinkDiff on Instagram as well.
Yeah, hashtag no makeup selfie. No, it's like we'll get out
every day during the diff will be a no makeup selfie. I promise you.
Yeah. So thanks for everyone watching.
Yeah, thank you. And if you have any more questions that you didn't get to ask today and suggestions,
we'll take them.
Then contact us on one of the previously mentioned methods.
Not just about a beard and haircuts, because we realized they sent the 2 people down that have the probably funniest haircuts. And
yeah, but you can't actually see yours on there. Oh wow. Okay, we're gonna call it a day. But thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Hope that you're inspired to take part in the Disruptive Innovation Festival, and hopefully you'll think about running an open mic session, because we want the schedule to be full of sessions, not by us but by you. So we look forward to receiving your applications. Have a nice morning or evening, depending on where in the world you are. And we will see you next time.
If you missed this, you can see it on Periscope and rewatch it there. Have a nice day.
Cheers. Bye.